Hey, this is Rick Casells from UnlockYourHipFlexors.com. This is a special video for Robbie Blanchard and everyone at Chalk and Steel. Robbie asked me to do a quick video explaining how your hips can be limiting your squat and leading to your back pain. When we go into that front squat or when we end up going into that back squat and we squat down and we come back up, if we end up having locked up hips, what ends up happening is we end up leaning forward. And that leaning forward puts unnecessary stress on our low back, increasing our risk of back irritation and potentially back pain. Also, with that leaning forward, what that ends up doing is putting unnecessary stress on the knees, because what ends up happening is we're relying more on the quads in order to get out of that bottom position of the squat. So that unnecessary stress on the knees ends up increasing the risk of knee pain, which is what you do not want. Also, that leaning forward, because of the locked up hips, end up taking out the glutes when it comes to getting out of that bottom position of the squat, which is going to end up affecting the weights that you can lift and your ability to reach your PRs when it comes to your squat and other lifts. Also, if your hips end up being locked up and you're not able to get to 110 to 125 degrees of flexion in the hip, what ends up happening is you need to get that movement from somewhere, and that movement ends up coming from your back. And that movement coming from your back ends up putting unnecessary stress on your back, leading to back pain. So if you end up having any issues when it comes to squatting, it could be front squat or back squat, or if you end up having back pain when it comes to your front squat or back squat or other lifts, make sure to take a look at your hips. There's a good chance that you end up being locked up in the hips, that you end up having poor mobility in the hips, that you end up having tightness in those hip flexors. So make sure you end up addressing those locked up hips. They'll end up improving the positioning when it comes to the squatting. They'll end up improving your alignment when it comes to your squatting. And then what'll happen is you'll see a drastic improvement in your lifts and PRs when it relates to your squats and other lifts. So this is Rick Casells from UnlockYourHipFlexors.com saying take care and bye-bye.